Okay, everybody, back with a brand new Cabral HouseCall. Always excited to get into our weekend Cabral concept shows. This week, like every Saturday and Sunday show, we'll be answering about 5 questions from the community. Again, no prep work is done for these. I love to be able to answer them as they come in. As always, I have to give my team also a big shout out. Phenomenal job getting these questions together. If you want to submit your own, please do feel free to do so. You can do that at stephencabral.com/askcabral, and it'll be read in about 6 to 8 weeks or so on a weekend edition of the show. For all past episodes, to see if your question was answered, feel free to head on over to stephencabral.com/podcasts. All right, let's dive into the first question. Just open up this beautiful document. First question is from Elizabeth. Elizabeth says, "Hi, Dr. Brawl. Thank you for your informative podcast. I searched in past episodes and didn't find an answer to my question. I thought I'd write in. I'm a 49-year-old woman. I've had blood work done for the first time a little over a year ago. Everything looked good except my ferritin, which was low at 9. For the next 12 months, I took iron supplements 2 to 3 times a week and started eating more iron-rich foods, including red meat and beef liver pills. When ferritin was tested again, it was only up to an 11. My PCP is now recommending I get iron infusions. Are these safe? What might be the root cause of my low ferritin? I'm still menstruating, but have never been heavy. I eat a balanced diet, including meat, and always have. I exercise 4 to 5 times a week. Could this just be genetic? Should I be concerned? Thanks, Elizabeth." All right. So there's genetic components to a lot of things in our life, but genetically low iron, all the time with a ferritin of 11, no, not likely. There's definitely some more biological and biochemical things going on. So what I like to look at is the health of the liver, the health of the thyroid, the health of the overall red blood cells. So it's not just about iron. Personally, again, I can't, so let's just give the disclaimer right up front. Can't give any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, medical diagnosis. Now, let's just say this was my wife. Okay, what am I doing if she's low ferritin like this? Straightforward. She's taking daily nutritional support, which she does every day. That gets all of her activated Bs, because you need B9, you need B12, you need zinc, you need copper. All right. So I would definitely be doing those, and I'd probably add an extra balanced zinc at dinner if I really wanted to. Then I'd be adding like the daily fruit and vegetable blend, so you get natural plant-based iron. And yes, I'm not saying don't eat meat, you'll eat meat as well. What else would I do? Oh, I like the organ capsules. Isn't a bad idea, but there's also higher levels of vitamin A. So, maybe they're right for you, maybe they're not. I'd be working on thyroid, so I would run the stress minimum metabolism test, and if TSH is anywhere near 2 or above, then I'm going to use daily thyroid support to support the thyroid. Any other big hitters that I need? Vitamin D3, so I'm going to be taking 4,000 IUs for most individuals, plus their DNS. And then there's a big one. If someone is not able to raise their ferritin levels, you're going to use iron daily then in my practice. We are going to use an iron-based formula that's going to have at least 50 milligrams of iron. Okay, probably closer to 60, 65. And you're going to take it upon waking before food, and you're going to take it with 500 milligrams of vitamin C. So that's what we do. And that vitamin C then helps to get the liver. It helps the liver, yes, convert iron, but it helps it get it where it belongs in those cells as well. So that's really helpful, because if you take iron pills with a meal, and the meal contains a good amount of calcium, it can bind up that iron. That's what we've seen in our practice. Mostly it's women that use iron. They don't seem to respond to it. That's what we do. So use your good daily foundational protocol level 2, your vitamin D3, but take that iron. Again, this is what I would give my wife for recommendation, and vitamin C on an empty stomach pretty much every morning. And then I would run your iron levels again in another 8 to 12 weeks to see if you really need that infusion. All right, Carrie Ann is up next. "Hi, Dr. Brawl. I love listening to your podcast. I have a rare disease called mastocytosis. Do you have any recommendations for natural supplements that might help? I'm currently taking vitamin C and quercetin, and they do help. I would love to improve my gut, but I'm a little confused on how to go about doing that, and when I need to keep histamines low, and all the things like probiotics, kimchi, bone broth, and all histamines are high. Thank you for your help." All right. So Carrie Ann, welcome to the community. We've talked about mastocytosis many, many times. I had mastocytosis, mast cell activation syndrome, along with my Addisons disease, my autoimmune, and my type 2 diabetes. So I'm very familiar, along with my POTS. So I get it. I totally understand. And we use a product called Hist Pro. You can use 2 to 3 of those 3 times a day. That's your quercetin, stinging nettles, perilla fruit extract, your vitamin C. It's the best thing that you can do for your histamine levels. No doubt about it. Again, I already gave my disclaimer, but just putting that out there. But you really want to look for the underlying root cause for sure. And yes, if you do, well, so the best thing that you can do is run the big 5 labs. That's the best thing you can do to figure out what your underlying root causes are. There's no doubt about that. If you can't do that, run what's called the vitamin tox test, AKA the starter kit. Those are at stephencabral.com/shop. Takes you over to EcoLife. Again, you don't have to run it with our practice. You can run it with an integrative health practitioner, level 2 or level 3. Happy for you to do that. And then if they do find gut-based issues or high cortisol or whatever it might be, we'll fix the gut. Yes, you won't be using the things that you just spoke about, but that's already part of our sensitive gut guide diet that comes with the CBO protocol. So everything is mapped out for you, exactly how to do it. Let's say you don't want to run labs. Let's say you don't want to work with a health coach. You want to do it yourself? No problem. I have a whole gut healing protocol course at stephencabral.com/courses, and you can check that out as well. There's one on thyroid. There's one on female hormones. There's a free one on detox. There's a free one on weight loss, body transformation that comes along with your purchase of MetaVolve. So it's all there. There's something literally for everybody. And then, of course, there's a lot of free podcasts too at stephencabral.com/podcasts. All right, Darren's up next. Darren says, good day, Dr. Cabral. I recently got diagnosed with folliculitis. Some people call it folliculitis. Call it whatever you want. And eczema by a dermatologist who stated it was spurred by my skin reactions to my many sauna sessions and regular dry brushing. Unfortunately, because I enjoy both. I abhorred the idea, but the doctor recommended doxycycline antibiotics and muproricin, topical cream, which did stem the constant itchiness, redness, flaking. I've noticed side effects from the medication. I've noticed no noticeable side effects of medication. What do you suggest I use post-medication to ensure a healthy gut and it reoccurring? I was thinking maybe the clean gut probiotic or the daily detox. Keep up the good work. All right. So always happy to help. When you're taking antibiotics, my recommendation that I do with my own family in my private practice, done it now for more than a decade, you use something called the healthy gut support. It heals and seals up that gut wall because you can get leaky gut from taking antibiotics. That's well documented. So that contains the aloe vera, the marshmallow root, the N-acetylglucosamine, the L-glutamine, and the zinc carnosine. So it's everything clinically proven to help you heal and seal the gut wall. So healthy gut support, anybody can use it. I use it on a daily basis because I love the product. And then use the clean gut probiotic, the probiotic that we were just speaking about. Do both of those for 4 to 8 weeks. That's the minimum when you were taking antibiotics. So hopefully that's helpful. You wrote in about 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago. If you need same day answers, always write into cabralsupportgroup.com. All right. Okay. So I think that answered your question, but if anybody gets folliculitis in the future or mastocytosis, or remember, I've got lots of podcasts. This is episode 3,452, I believe. So you can search all previous 3,451 podcasts at stephencabral.com/podcasts. Literally in the search box, you could just write antibiotics and it will show you all the shows on antibiotics and what to do if you're taking antibiotics, if you need to. If you have folliculitis, I've got podcasts on that. What to do if you have folliculitis so you don't have to take antibiotics. So again, without giving medical advice, I give you all of my natural and integrative health-based remedies, which really do work and really are backed by science. So for example, with folliculitis, we would say, okay, using a dry brush, have you cleaned it lately? Or are you using a copper dry brush, which isn't going to hold all the bacteria, yeast, microbes, etc.? Have you used coconut oil? So you use apple cider vinegar wherever the folliculitis is. And then you could use caprylic acid, which is in coconut oil, to help, kill a lot of that folliculitis. I had awful folliculitis way back in the day, way back in the day, because I was using an antibacterial soap, all sorts of different things. And eczema is totally separate. It's usually food sensitivity based, but lots of shows on that too. All right. Darren's up next. Darren says, good day, Dr. Cabral. It's me again. I asked this a month ago, but never got a response. Maybe question got lost or your team pulled it, given it can be perceived as controversial. I appreciate your Mindset and Motivation Monday shows and all the teachings from Dispenza, etc., about not stressing, but focusing and living in the moment. However, how does one adhere to those practices if they were living in, say, a conflict zone where things are beyond their control, like Congo, Palestine, or Sudan, where food isn't guaranteed, but constant attacks are? I get if you choose not to answer on air, keep up the good work. All right, well, I answer every question on air, so I'm happy to read yours. We get so many questions, it may have, every once in a while, it just gets lost. Now we say, if your question hasn't been answered in 8 weeks or so this was from 6/1, you wrote in. Anybody who wrote in at 6/1, June 1st or before, your question's already been answered. All right, so I have spent, how long? many years now, over 25 years now, studying the mind, mindset, psychology, more from a rewiring perspective and psychology-based perspective. One, because I needed to do it for myself to get well. There's no doubt about it, because I was just a hyper-stressed individual for all sorts of different reasons. You could say some valid, some not valid. It doesn't really matter. It's all perceived. It was all valid to me, right? So that's that. All right, but let's get to your question, because stress in life is very real. Especially if you live in a war or conflict zone. You can't deny that, right? Why? Because you need to also take responsibility for you and your family. So it would be irresponsible not to think about taking a safe path to work or the store, or doing whatever measures that most of us don't even think about and take for granted. So I do understand that. However, once you've thought about everything that you can control, that's within your control, you do need to release the worry, because worrying is basically focusing your mind on the most negative aspects of life and everything that could go wrong. And when you are focused intently on everything that could go wrong, you are more drawn to it. Your actions lead you more towards things that could go wrong or might be negative in life. We can't control everything about life. I don't think that at all. I work with many people that seem to live a pretty healthy life and they have cancer. And so like, did that person ask for cancer? No. So what can they control? Okay, well, here's what we need to do. The person's going to have a new scan in 12 weeks. Okay, are we going to worry every day about what that new scan is going to do? No. We're going to release that, because there's nothing we can do about it. But what we are going to think about is, what can we do now in this present moment today? Because we can't worry about tomorrow, because when we wake up tomorrow, it's today. All we can really do is plan for tomorrow, not worry, plan for tomorrow, but live for today. And living for today means, if you are in that conflict zone, loving your family, being grateful for your relationships, grateful for what you do have, grateful for your health, like grateful for all of the things right now. And as you build up that gratitude and understand that it could be worse, that is what makes life worth living. And that's where a lot of growth comes from. And so there is no easy answer here, except that once you have controlled what you can control for and plan what you can plan for, ultimately you must release it, or it will eat you from the inside out, and you'll be living a miserable life, whether anything ever happens to you or your family or not. So plan for the future, but then release it, right? One of my favorite quotes from religious texts, again, everybody has their own favorite religious text, is that, "For we walk by faith, not by sight." One of my favorite quotes. I'll probably turn it into a Mindset and Motivation Monday. Why do I love that? It's because we can't know or see everything in life that is going to happen before it happens, and we simply have to have faith that there's a plan. We're part of the plan. We do have free will. We are able to make choices. Let's make our best choices possible for us and the people we serve. All right, Sheena is up next. Hi, Dr. C. Hope you are well. After doing a food sensitivity test, my results showed I'm allergic to cow's milk dairy, which I already knew for years, because every time I eat it, like clockwork, 2 to 3 days later, I break out really bad acne. And even though it only takes 2 to 3 days for it to happen, it takes me at least 4 weeks for it to clear up. My question is, would it be helpful if I were to take lactate or dairy intolerance pill? It seems that most of these pills help with gas and bloating, which I don't get. I just get really bad acne, but was hoping that I could take this before eating a meal that I'm not 100% sure about to prevent the breakouts. If not lactate, is there a pill you could recommend that could help? Thank you so much for answering my question and for being my health guru. Always happy to help, Sheena. So it's a great question, and this is like the perfect example. Like, Sheena gets it. The food sensitivity test does not test for gas and bloating. If a food shows up high and you don't get gas and bloating from it, that's because there's no correlation to digestion. It's not a lot. If you show up on a food, but you do get gas and bloating from that, it's not a digestive issue. Remember, the food sensitivity test for immunological issues. The immune system, specifically IgG, in this case, immunoglobulin G, which can react a day to 3 days later, reacting to a food that then creates inflammation. In Sheena's case, what does it cause? Acne. Some people, headaches, migraines, joint pain, and other things. That's why the food sensitivity test, again, you can find that at stephencabral.com/shop, is an amazing lab that I run with my daughters each year, run with my wife. I run it. It's a great lab to take to find out what might be causing your breakouts or inflammation or headaches or whatever it might be. Okay, so Lactate will have no effect on it because lactate is an enzyme. The enzyme does help with gas and bloating. So we have a product called gluten and dairy support, and it works great. It helps with gas and bloating from gluten and dairy and also beans. So it works great for that, but not a protein issue, right? Not a protein breakdown. What would be more helpful? Okay, digestive enzymes can help. There's bromelain and papain in there. So you can take 2 of the daily digestive enzymes with that meal, but you could use the universal binder. The universal binder might be able to help you bind up some of the casein-based proteins and other things that might inflame the immune system. At the same time, what you'll want to do, you might do an intermittent fast that next day. You might do a sauna to sweat out a lot of toxins from the body better. You might, if you're not already doing quarterly functional medicine detoxes to help the liver better process toxins and inflammation, great. And what was the one more that I wanted to give you as well? If you haven't healed and sealed your gut wall, using the healthy gut support and something like the Clean Gut Probiotic for 4 to 8 weeks that we gave earlier today as a recommendation, that could also be a great recommendation. So yours could be a hormonal imbalance that caused by the dairy, or it could just be an inflammatory based reaction from the dairy. And many people get that, so you're not alone. So I found the universal binder to be helpful. I found a little bit of fast the next day to be helpful. Check out our 1-day reset diet. And then doing your quarterly detoxes to empty the rain barrel. And then that last one, which keeps slipping my mind, of doing, well, whatever I shared with you just a minute or two ago is usually my final recommendation there. And all of those things, the healthy gut support and the Clean Gut Probiotic. Yeah, just to make sure that gut wall is sealed up so you have less of those protein amino acids coming into your bloodstream. All right, hopefully this was helpful. Thank you everybody for tuning in to another Cabral House Call. And I'll be back tomorrow answering more of our community questions. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.